how is it like working for Grant Cardone?
Amazing and brutal at the same time. You know, he's unreasonable, and that creates a little bit of a tough environment. But that type of environment is what gets greatness out of people.
What about, like, what's something that people don't know about Grant Cardone? Jarrod Glandt. How's it going, baby?
Man, it's going amazing.
There we go.
Very 10X in here.
Yeah, very 10X. Yeah, you can see. You can see 10X, 10X,
You guys
10X.
are representing. Got the cash flow going. Got the 10X. I love it.
100%. So for people that don't know, who are you?
I am Jarrod Glandt.
There we go.
So, you know, most people know me because for 13 years I've worked for Grant, been his right-hand guy, and helped grow the company from $2 million a year to all the companies will do probably 600 million this year.
Ooh, yeah. Big boy numbers.
Yeah,
big boy numbers.
I mean, I'm not responsible for all of that.
But most of it.
We've got a great team and a number of different companies and great partners and everything. So, but it's been a really, really fun ride.
100%. And you know, normally on this podcast I have real estate investors on and we talk about that, but this podcast is going to be very selfishly about how to build a business.
Okay, let's go.
Our wealthy investor business is our education business, and we'll get straight to it. So when I was like the first student that joined because I wanted to learn how to flip houses from Ryan.
Yeah.
And then joined, started flipping houses, had success, and then he needed a coach, right? So I was like, dude, I'll coach. I'll help you coach. You know, I was an accountability coach.
Yeah.
The first accountability coach. Started coaching, and then the business started to grow, right? And then I think in 2020, he asked me like, hey, do you want to come on and just be the COO?
Yeah.
And at the time, it was just like, it was just raw, right? Facebook group for fulfillment, Google Sheets for the
making it work.
So came in, and then like we've scaled it since then. We do like about 7 figures a month.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And we just started throwing big events. So I've literally seen it, you know, come from nothing to where it's at now. But I want to hear your story. So how exactly did your career start? How did you meet Grant and all that?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I had a lot of sales jobs before I started working for Grant, but I was working for one of my best friends. His company does like asset liquidation. And so I was in, 2009, 2008, 2009, when everything was going to hell. My job was basically in business development to go to all the banks that had non-performing business portfolios. And then we would go in and appraise all the assets for the businesses and then organize the liquidation sales for them. So, I mean, it was a great business, but like for like the ambitious entrepreneur, it was like, you know, it was a wild time, but it was, you know, I wanted to see people winning and blowing up, and I wasn't really getting that. So, my dad, you know, had sent me a YouTube video. He had actually bought a program of Grant's for his business that he was running. And he was like, hey, this is the type of guy that you should be working for. And so at the time, Grant had, you know, I don't know, like 14 videos or something like that on YouTube.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Instagram what year was
2010.
2010, got it. Okay.
And so I saw it and I'm like, oh my gosh, this guy's got something. Like there's something about this guy, and I'm going to go work for him. So I just called the office every day for a month and a half until they agreed to interview me. And then the rest is history. But, you know, the business was very different back then because it was, you know, our primary way that we grew the business was just cold calling. So we had, you know, we worked in an industry, automotive. We provided training and education for the automotive space. Yeah. And, you know, that's not a space where, you know, that's an exciting, sexy thing.
No.
You know? They spend tons of money on advertising, very little money on their people. And so it was really hard, but I got amazing at making calls and selling. And to multimillionaire business owners who didn't think that they needed any sales training because they were, in most cases, they came up through the business and had been selling and thought that they should be the one doing the training. So, you know, the business kind of transformed a lot as social media became what it is now. I mean, in the beginning, there were no influencers. It wasn't really, it didn't exist. I'm 40, you know, like when I was on MySpace or whatever, like you were with your friends, like it was a friend thing. It wasn't about like educating yourself and getting access to all this information like what it is today. It's such a remarkable tool. But as that brand started growing, and at a time when there was a lack of people who were giving all the information for free because
Yeah.
it wasn't a cool thing to do.
Yeah.
And that was Grant's business for 25 years, was educating people on how to grow and market and sell and promote and all that stuff. And so then it just was like, you know, great content, right time, right vehicle.
Yeah.
And it just, the business started exploding, and we just started getting inbound reach from people instead of outbound reach.
When did that start?
That was probably, so I started 2010. That was probably 2014 that started kind of shifting a little bit.
Okay.
We still didn't know anything. Like I remember, like we weren't marketing to the email list. We sent we had a strategy the week that we would email out to the email list. And then one day, this product that we were selling to businesses for 30 grand, Grant and I had a meeting. He goes, dude, I want to sell this. Just see if we can sell it to individuals for like $1,000. And I'm like, oh my gosh, all my business clients are going to crucify me because we're selling the same product. So we modified the product in a way where we felt good about the value proposition for the business as it related to the individual. But we sent an email, and in 48 hours, we made like $1.2 million.
Oh.
Emails were getting opened back then. Like it was wild. And so we're like, oh my God, we're onto something. And then that was the same year that we said, hey, we should maybe do an event, because Grant had been doing events throughout his career. And so we did an event, put an event together. Our first event, Growth Con, we announced it, started selling tickets for it, had no venue, no speakers, nothing. Like,
oh, that's
like
scary.
It was just, it's just, I mean, we're still kind of cowboys, but it was just cowboy stuff.
Yeah.
And we put the whole event together. I got speakers, didn't pay anybody to speak.
That's like us.
I mean, didn't pay anybody to speak, put the whole thing together. It was 77 days. And we sold 2,400 tickets.
Oh, wow.
And then
where was it at?
In Miami.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then it was wild because we were getting, it was like the last day of the event, the morning of the last day of the event.
Yeah.
And Lewis Howes was actually like, you guys going to do another one? And we were like, I mean, this one seemed like it worked pretty good. He's like, are you guys going to offer tickets? I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
We hadn't planned on it. And so we offered tickets at the event and ended up selling like, 3/4 of the room, a seat to the next event.
Got it.
And then that next event, we did 8,800 people at
wow.
And then at Mandalay Bay. And then the next event was 34,000 in Miami.
Wow.
So it was like a 3-year run of like explosive event business. And then that really is what gave birth to all the other events that we're doing today. And
amazing. What about, so I want to go back to the early days. So like when it was, you and Grant and you guys were doing, you said like $2 million a year, who were you guys like at the time looking up to, or who was coaching you guys, or how were you guys like learning?
Oh no, we didn't. I mean, there was nobody had done that. Like nobody that there was no space, like people say like, oh yeah, I'm in the space, the online marketing space. There really were no people doing what Grant did in that space. There was no space.
Got it.
And so it was just, we were figuring stuff out. Like we were the first ones to do a big headliner based business event. Like they were big maybe in the 90s, like this, the Wealth Annex, or I forget what it's called, the Learning Annex.
Got it.
They used to do Tony Robbins stuff, but
I was going to ask about Tony.
It wasn't like a full lineup of like, dude, this event lineup is insane.
Yeah.
Donald Trump would do a big event and he was the draw card, but there was no like multi-speaker, multi-day format event. And so we really, I believe we have set the bar and continue to set the bar for business events. I mean, we just, the company makes a ton of money and, we spend, 10, 12 million bucks on an event. So not everybody can do that.
100%. No, I remember so our first event was actually in Ryan's living room. So there was like 10 of us.
For sure.
And then it became our quarterly thing. So like our wealth cons that you see, that's our quarterly event for our mastermind. I think the most people we've had so far is like, I think almost 1,500 people. Yeah. We had Brandon Turner speak.
Yeah.
So I've very similar to you guys where, you just, at first we're like would never pay a speaker ever. We're like, dude, we ain't paying no speaker. We're just going to ask whoever's down to speak.
Yes,
Whoever says yes is speaking. And then our first big event was, with Alex Hermosi.
So
Alex Hermosi started but this is before he kind of blew up. He was like under 100,000.
He was at the very first Growth Con.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was at the very first Growth Con, and it was really when he was getting started. I remember meeting him and Layla.
Wow.
And, they were just getting started. Gym Launch hadn't popped off yet.
Oh, okay.
I don't even think he was using ClickFunnels yet. I think he signed up for ClickFunnels at our event.
Oh, is that the one where what's his name from ClickFunnels?
Russell.
Is that when he had that like famous pitch?
Well, I mean, every time if you put enough people in a room, if somebody's got a good pitch, they're gonna get the room.
Yeah.
And so I think he did like $1 million in sales or something like that.
Okay.
And then the next year he did like 2. And,
okay. Got it. Yeah. I don't know. I think the first Growth Con that Ryan went to, Russell pitched.
Yeah.
And then he bought ClickFunnels. He was like, I don't know what I just bought, but I think it's gonna
say no.
I was like, it's gonna be great.
No to.
Yeah.
I was like an idiot in my chair if I didn't buy it.
Yeah. He was like, you just put the videos on there and it just sells, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, he told me about that. So
sounds so easy.
Yeah. But all right. So I guess like walk me through, now you guys are doing 600 million a year in revenue. Walk me through like, I guess the growth. So were there like levels? Was it like 2 and then you were stuck at 10 and then you were stuck at 100? Like,
yeah, I mean, I wish I had some crazy war story about like being stuck and having to reinvent the business but we just don't. Like the business year over year, every year for 13 years has grown.
Really?
And never had a down year. It continues to grow. So we just, we are very proactive about finding the next thing.
Yeah.
Like if you don't have products or services to sell your customers, then they're going to not buy from you. Like they'll go somewhere else.
Yeah.
And so, people, they want it, the people that your best customers, they want to buy more stuff.
Yeah.
And they as long as you're creating programs that are valuable, good value prop, give people what they want, then you can continue to just iterate and create new things. And I mean, we've got hundreds of products today.
Yeah.
There's probably 30 that we sell 90% of the time, but you got to give people options. They got to have a place to go. So we've got a $100,000 cruise through the foundation this year. We've got coaching. We've got, high ticket events. We've got a couples event. We've got, sales, marketing, people, operations, finance. Like we've got all these different programs. We have consulting packages. We have online courses, books, webinars, business tool. Like we just continue to create new things that common sense would say somebody who's trying to grow their business will probably need a tool like this.
Yeah.
And there's just not a lot of people that have the experience that we have in seeing how things work at the scale that we do. I mean, if we're spending 50, 60, 70 grand a day in traffic, you learn a lot.
Oh, wow.
So you create an offer, you launch it, and it's a turd out of the gate. You're like, okay, people must not be interested in this. And then you pivot.
Yeah.
And without that velocity in the business, then it just takes longer to learn everything. And so people could have a bad offer and just be sitting on it trying to figure out how to make it work for 6 or 7 months. And I can send enough traffic to a page in 3 days to find out if it's going to be a winner or not. Yeah.
Okay. So you guys spend total $50,000 to $60,000 a day on ads?
Yeah. I mean, it varies. Sometimes it's 100, sometimes it's 30, but
wow.
We'll probably spend 25 or 30 million this year.
25 to 30 million. Okay. So dude, there's so much I want to ask you. It's just hard to like figure it out. So like when you first started with Grant, you were a salesperson.
Yep.
When did you become like the president or like what was your path?
Well, I think I was the president in my mind, like when I started.
There you go.
Because there was no lead form on the website. We didn't have a CRM. Like there were so many things that
you did 2 million with no CRM?
Yeah, dude. My leads were literally, I would go on LinkedIn and I'd look up people that fit like the role. I'd search the role in the industry.
Yeah.
And then I'd get a bunch of search results and I'd literally go write all their names down, the business that they work for. And I'd do that for a couple hours. And then I'd go to Google and I'd just Google all the businesses and get the numbers and put them all like on little, legal pads or, Excel sheets.
Yeah.
And then that became my call list. And so, but really the transition was what's the next thing that we should be doing that
Okay.
we're not doing right now?
Got it.
What's the next thing that's going to make the pitch better? What's the next thing that's going to make the offer better? What's the next thing that's going to deliver deliver a better experience to the customer, a better result for the customer?
Yeah.
What's the next support role that we need? It was just always like, I was always thinking with what's the next thing that we need?
Yeah.
And I remember I was like, we need another salesperson, Grant. He's like, well, hire him. Like, I was just a sales guy. I'm like, I didn't think that was my
job. Yeah.
my place to do that until he was like, bro, like, you should be always doing the next thing, regardless of whatever your role is. And so I tell people a lot that come through our programs, particularly employees or people that are working for other people. I'm like, if you want to make more money or you want to get the next role, like, you have to be doing that thing, that next thing right now, and understand that you won't be paid for it.
Yeah.
You're not going to be compensated for it. You may or may not even get recognition for it, but that's the next thing that you need to be doing, because eventually, if you work for somebody that has half a brain, they're going to see somebody with ambition, who's willing to take the initiative and go out and try to do the next thing. I mean, it's the dream of every business owner to have somebody who can grow the business without them.
100%.
And so if you can find those people and cultivate an environment in the business where you allow that to happen, that really is the goal of the business owner, is how do I do only what I want in the business? And I don't have to do everything else because I got a great team of people around me. And so, my counterpart, Sherry, who's our operations COO, we just have a really great working relationship, and she handles the operations. I handle all the sales and marketing and offer creation and all that stuff. And then, we go out and just, the goal is to grow the business without Grant.
Yeah.
So,
okay. So, how is it like working for Grant Cardone?
Amazing and brutal at the same time. He's unreasonable, and that is part of his superpower. Is he just does not think with like, oh, is that like, it's just completely unreasonable, a completely unreasonable way of looking at things, or what's possible, or what can be done, or why it's not getting done.
Yeah.
And so it always just is that constant press. To get the most out of you. And, he's very assertive and, very direct and doesn't mince words. And that creates a little bit of a tough environment, but that type of environment is what gets greatness out of people.
Yeah.
And so, the people that get offended by it and can't tolerate it and can't stand it, they don't really last.
Yeah.
But the people who actually are the achievers, that's what they want. It's like a pro football team, like Bill Belichick is one of the greatest coaches that's ever coached football, because he created an environment where people got the best out of themselves.
Yeah. Has there ever been times where you wanted to quit, or maybe?
For sure, of course. Yeah. I mean, I think for everybody that happens. Yeah. There's always times where you're like, you think about, what could I be doing differently, or how could it be different if this, or, throughout the years, people always want to offer you jobs, and, said no to 50 different things where people wanted to give me equity in companies or whatever, because I just was like, dude, this is the thing that I'm doing. Yeah. And every time I would go down those roads, it was always like, I always, anytime I had those considerations, it almost always was a product of me not really being fully committed or engaged to the thing that I was in. And so I think when people get disconnected from the reason, the purpose, the thing that they're doing, that's when they start looking and start getting distracted. And so for me, it was always like an indicator where it was like, okay, hey, if you're looking out here, what are you not focusing on here in front of you? What other opportunity is there that you're missing right now? Yeah. Or are you really committed right now? Like, after 90 days, I almost quit with Grant, like when I first started, because I was like, man, this is hard. I don't think it's going to work. Like, I've sold 2 deals in 90 days. Yeah. And based on that track, like, I'm going to go broke. Like, I was making $2,500 a month living in LA. It was tough.
That's tough. Yeah.
And so, like, it was just like, are you committed? Have you gone all in yet? And I'm like, you haven't. And so I started working, we were in California at the time, so I'd come into the office at 6 a.m., work till 7 or 8 o'clock at night. Yeah. And I did that five days a week. Saturdays, I'd come in from 6 until 1 or 2. And I did that for the first 2 years.
Wow. What about, like, what's something that people don't know about Grant Cardone?
Well, I mean, I think that that almost everybody gets him wrong because they take what they know about him on social and assume that is who he is.
Yeah.
And he is a promoter and a marketer and an attention grabber. But I'll always tell everybody, I'm like, if you want the real Grant, go watch any Lewis Howes interview that Grant does. Like when those two get together, Lewis gets like the side of Grant out that nobody ever really sees, which is this like
Softy.
caring, compassionate, like optimistic about people, like really cares about people. And I think that because of the bravado that he has in his social persona, I think people miss that and they completely misread him. And a lot of people who are some of our best clients today are like, man, I did not like Grant when I first came across him. And most people, I mean, I can't say most people, but a good percentage of people, when they first come across him, they're like, he's obnoxious. He's got a big ego, like all these things. But the Grant that I know, and that when people spend time with him, they get a different side of him, and so I think he's very misunderstood.
Okay, interesting.
And I think that he's an easy guy for people not to like.
Yeah.
And because of how much visibility we have and all of the things that we have going on, there's always people out there that want to create stories, and like they make things up. Yeah. Like I'm sure they do about Ryan, you guys, Ryan, and all that. Is they take some piece of information that wasn't credible in the beginning, and then they go start running with that, and then it becomes a thing that was never really a thing. Nobody, we've got this whole lawsuit right now that Grant filed, $100 million lawsuit for defamation for somebody who was making unsubstantiated claims about the business that damaged us. Like it damaged the brand. Like we've had people that accepted jobs and then they go home, they tell their family and friends, they go do research, and then they're like, hey, I can't come work for you guys because I saw this. So those things are damaging, but we keep winning. Yeah. But it's just like how much of an effect does that have? And I believe it's been more significant than 100 million.
Got it. Yeah. I want to talk about the lawsuit, but so you run a business right now that makes 600 million. Okay.
Yeah. So the real estate business does, I think they did 330 million in revenue through the real estate business. We did 150 million. Okay. We have Cardone Ventures did 130 million. So I'm not involved in all of those.
So you run the 150 million.
Our business did 150.
Okay.
But across all
still
of the,
great.
Yeah. Across all the businesses. Yeah.
Still a great number. Yeah. So you're the president of a company that makes $150 million a year. What do you do every day?
Make sure everything's going right. Like, okay. I mean, when the business is very performance based. So it's, we have high levels of spend, high levels of traffic. At this point, it's like, what are our numbers? So I'm checking conversion rates, spend rates, sales rates, back end conversion, what happens after the first touch, and then helping the teams manage all the projects. So got it. We're constantly creating new products. Iterating on existing offers, trying new, you're constantly you're in a state of optimization. Yeah. And it's working with the different departments, what are the blocks that are happening with the sales team? Like we just went through and reset one of the scripts for one of the calls that we're doing. And it was like an immediate like lift in not only performance, but the salesperson's confidence, because we structured in a way and trained them in a way where it gave them more context about why they're doing what they're doing. Yeah. Oftentimes people just teach the how. Yeah. And if you teach the how, you'll get the how, but your people will never understand why. And the why is really where the conviction comes from. Got it. And so, we're constantly just tweaking on things. There's a lot of different ways that we generate revenue, and, whether it's booking people at the events or coming up with the next event or coming up with the next marketing campaign to drive ticket sales to an event or there's a lot.
Can you walk me through kind of like the org chart, not like with the names, but like of the roles in the company?
Yeah. So, basically we have like operational roles and then marketing and revenue roles, but we've got a sales department, customer relations, client service department. It's customer service, but they have comp plans attached to it. So we do generate pretty significant amount of revenue from our customer service department. We've got a curriculum department, a pretty good sized marketing department, probably 45 people on the marketing team. Finance department, accounting.
Okay. Okay. So let's break down
coaching department.
Okay. Coaching. What is that, like fulfillment coaching, or what?
Yeah. So we have a couple different coaching products. We have a B2B sales team that sells a business training solution to businesses.
Yeah.
And then we have a coaching offer that goes in conjunction with that. And then we have all of our like direct consumer, type coaching products that are group coaching for, groups. Like a 7-figure accelerator group is one of the groups we have, which is basically we spend a year with people doing weekly calls. We give them a bunch of curriculum online.
Yeah.
But in those calls, we're giving them like action items to do to go get their business their first 7 figures.
Got it.
So if we can get a business to 7 figures, that kind of activates a more profitable situation for them. And then the back end of the business, we can take them from $1 million to we can engineer their business to, from $1 million to 125 million if that's where they want to go.
Got it. So I want to talk about the sales department because I think that, boy, we're going through it right now with that. Yeah. So I guess, like, first of all, what makes a good sales manager?
Yeah, I think, all of our managers, and this is great salespeople don't make great managers all the time.
Okay.
And so what we always are looking for is we're looking for managers who have done the job and done it with some degree of success.
Okay.
We've never hired managers from outside and just dropped them in.
Interesting.
We are always, we're taking team that we have and trying to groom them into that role. So we basically give, like 2 main tracks when somebody comes in. You can either, here's the path for you to becoming one of our senior sales guys. You're not running a team. You're, my number one guy made $800,000 last year. Oof. And, that's the track for you. You don't run a team. You come in, you produce, you go get money, you focus on you. That's it.
Yeah.
We also have the team lead route where you go on sort of a management track. So you hit targets and performance numbers that unlock the opportunity for you to become a team lead.
Yeah.
And then we'll transition you into that role. That's more of a career path, but not as lucrative as
of course
a sales role can be.
Yeah.
And then the third option is we have a program called our 10X Business Coach program, which is basically where people can come in and they can purchase a license to go out and take all of our material and go build their own education business around that.
Yeah.
And then we take a royalty on it. So the third option is you come in, you can produce, you get to a high level, you learn our products, our services, the delivery of them, problems that our clients are having, how we fix them, and then you can go out on the back end of that and become a business coach for us. And then,
Got it. So on the sales team side, like, walk me through the structure of that.
Yeah. So we have, a setter role, we have a producer role, and then we have like a closer role. So setter is just setting appointments. Producer is setting their own appointments and closing their own deals.
Interesting.
Closer is just closing deals for the setters.
Got it.
And then we have a team lead on top.
Got it.
So we build little pods out and then give targets to the give targets to the pod based on the composition of the team and their experience level.
Yeah.
So we have like everything all dialed in for expectations for quota based on how long somebody's been there and what their performance expectations should be.
Yeah.
Put pods together, build comp plans for the team lead off that, and then have a director above 3 pods.
Got it. Okay. A director over 3 pods. Got it. Okay. So like when you're looking at a closer, right? Like what KPIs are you usually looking for them to hit?
Well, they have revenue numbers. So depending on the team, they have a revenue target that they're trying to hit. So, we're less focused on closing percentage and more focused on
revenue.
The revenue. Yeah. So like, because I think the closing percentage can be
skewed.
Yeah. I mean, it can be manipulated.
Misleading. Yeah.
And so for us, it's just, they won't even get into that role as a closer unless they've demonstrated prior to that.
Yeah.
That they're the person for that job.
Do you guys hire outside closers, or do they have to start off as a setter and then
we bring everything that we do is internal?
Interesting. Yeah. Really interesting. So what about what's cash collected that you're usually looking for in a closer, like per month?
Yeah. So let's see. So on our corporate team, their product is a little different. They're selling a contract that has, future value attached to it.
Yeah.
So we're looking for about a sales rep will produce about 2.5 million of contract value per year. That's kind of like our baseline metric.
Okay.
And then we have a $75,000 a month product target for them.
Okay. And that's the 75,000, that's cash collected?
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So they have cash collected targets, they have contract value targets, they have MRR targets.
Got it.
So how much monthly recurring revenue are they bringing in?
Yeah.
So
okay. And then what about setters? Like what targets are you usually giving your setters?
Yeah, so they're typically getting paid. We really try to have people in a setter role for 90 days and then move them up or out. So it's like the setter role is really that first 90 days of just coming in and learning about how our business works and learning the products and learning the calls and doing all that. And then from there, we'll transition them into the next role, which would be, now they're sourcing their own and closing their own deals.
Interesting. So you guys don't like to leave people as setters?
Yeah, I mean, the goal is to constantly develop people out and transition them into higher roles in the company.
Got it.
Because the reality is there's just not enough. I mean, people come to work with us because they want to make money. They'll move across country. I mean, we're hiring mostly in-house sales team. So people are moving to Scottsdale or they're moving to Miami to come work for us because they're like, man, I saw Dave made 800 grand.
Yeah.
Like I want to go get that opportunity. And so they're coming in and we're trying to accelerate them up through those varying roles. So you're either going to go from a setter into a high producer, high performance producer, closer, or you're going to become a team lead.
Got it.
And that'll take place over a period of, 18 months.
When you guys are hiring salespeople, what do you normally look for?
Past sales experience is obviously a plus. Somebody who's sold over the phone before is a plus.
Yeah.
I had a kid came in, he was out of college, never had a sales job before, wanted to work for us, interviewed really well, and we're like, we'll give him a shot. He made 220 grand his first year out of high school.
Yeah.
Crazy. So, like the key to finding great salespeople is to have turnover. Like you have to hire a lot of people.
Interesting.
And then you have to go through and find out if people are, that we have a guy in our Arizona office right now. His name's Sasha. Love the guy. When we were building the team out there, we came out and we were doing a bunch of interviews and we interviewed the guy and I'm like, man, I love you. But he was literally, I think he was wasn't acting. Maybe he was a novelist or something like that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you got a great personality, but you've never sold before. Like this is not like an entry level role. And so we ended up passing on him.
Yeah.
But then he kept coming back around and kept coming back around, following up. And so we ended up giving him a shot and he's crushing it. So it's like, to a degree when people are in a situation, what they are telling you they can do and then what they actually do don't often align.
Yeah.
And sometimes you get surprised.
Yeah.
And so like somebody posted a video of a guy that was on one of our Whatever It Takes shows, which is the show that we did years ago, trying to interview and hire people when we first moved to Miami. And we eliminated him and got rid of him. And, now he's got a big podcast and, he drives a Lambo and, I'm like, we don't get it right all the time.
Yeah.
Another buddy of mine, Cody, was on the show. We ended up not hiring him. Didn't think he had whatever it takes. He went out and built a really successful multi-million-dollar media company. So, you never know.
Yeah.
All you can do is the best. What's their personality profile look like? How do they perform in the interview when you're asking them questions about things? And then, all that could be great. You sit them down in front of the phone and then that phone weighs like 900 pounds and they just can't pick it up and make the call.
Yeah.
So, the key to finding great people is just, you got to get through a lot of people to find great people.
100%.
And a lot of people, business owners are afraid of turnover.
Yes.
And they're like, oh man, that's a bad thing. But turnover is actually a good thing because it gets you to great people.
Got it.
Because if you think you got 5 salespeople and you're happy with them, but you're not really happy with them, but you're like, I don't really think we need another one, then you're just going to keep 5 average people.
Yeah.
And then most business owners keep bad employees around because they're terrible at recruiting.
Yes.
And so they're like, oh, well, if I get rid of this person, then I'm going to have to go hire somebody. And then that's going to take a lot of time. And then I'm going to lose revenue. And but the reality is that once you have a hole to fill, the urgency to to fix it goes up, and you start looking differently. You're more creative in how you look, and when you figure out the recruiting piece, like that's really when
things go through the roof.
Yeah, I mean, like we've gotten rid of top performers, like number one guys, a couple times, because they begin to contaminate the environment, bring in negativity, have bad attitude, something like that. Good guys, but they just come in and for whatever reason, it's time for them to go do something else.
Yeah, their egos get big.
And for a lot of business owners, they're like, I can never fire my top producer. Well, you're like, if you become a slave to that, then you will never get rid of them. But if you build a system, like we've built a really good system to get people to come in, and what used to take 9 months to get them to produce a run rate of income for themselves at 12 or 14 or 15 grand a month, we're doing that in less than 90 days now. Got it. So now that we have the confidence in that, somebody's being an asshole, we're gonna be like, you're gone, dude. Launch him. 100%. And then go replace him with somebody else.
Okay, so let's talk about sales managers / sales leaders. So I have a theory right now that this role is ultra important but hard to find, because in my mind, this person needs to like to help others. They need to be like crazy where they think they can close anyone. They need to be able to close deals themselves. They need to bring the energy every day. But then they also need to be, I guess, smart enough or analytical enough to pay attention to numbers and KPIs. Am I right? Or like, what do you think?
I mean, all of the above. One of the things that was really important for us is that when we were building out our new structure of the department, is we didn't want the managers to have this entitled feeling that they didn't need to get involved in deals anymore. And that's really a cultural thing than it is anything else for us. Like in some businesses, they're like, the sales manager doesn't get involved in deals, but we're like, dude, you're listening to calls live and you're like whispering in their ear. You're helping get deals done. Like your job is to close deals first and foremost. And facilitate that for the other guys. And then, the one-on-ones and all of those things, most sales guys have to be taught that. I said earlier that great salespeople don't always make great managers, but great salespeople can become managers if you teach them. But the assumption is you're like, well, I'm going to go hire somebody who I think has all those skills, but then they bypass the cultural fit piece of that grittiness of like, I'm closing deals, and they come in and they want to be a manager now. And then they start thinking, oh no, that's your job, not mine. And so, it starts with the leadership of the company and just saying, hey, this is how this role works. You come in, you pitch deals, you close deals. We're experimenting right now with a fast track process to create managers. Like I got a guy that we just hired, has great leadership experience. He came from Cutco, ran offices. Like in that space, it's very much recruiting, training, and development and sales focused. And I told him, I said, hey, just so you know, for the first 90 days, you will be working here as a salesperson. Like the work you will be doing, like our intention with you is to groom you to become a team lead fast and accelerate that path. But the first 90 days, you will be doing the same work as the sales guys are.
Got it.
And you're going to be drilling and role playing every day like the entire team does. And you're going to be showing up to the meetings, and you got to be doing all of those things because that's what we need you to expect of the team. And if we didn't expect that of you or put you in that role, then it would create problems down the road. And, anybody we bring in, even from senior, like they have, they were making 180 grand a year, maybe they were running a team. They have to start in a sales role.
Interesting.
Now the speed that they grow through that is entirely up to them. Like, we don't have a marker that says you have to be here for 12 months before you can be a team leader. You come in, you demonstrate you have the skills and the characteristics that we need you to have and that you can produce. And we'll fast track anything.
Yeah, I feel like that's kind of been like my realization is we've gone through a few sales managers, and even at some events, like I felt like they underperformed. And then at the last event, I was like, F it, I'm gonna be the freaking sales manager. And I just started literally going into the crowd and
crushing
grabbing
it, right?
people. Yeah.
But then the thing is that like in any company, the expectations that a sales manager will have on them are going to be different. Every company, because every business owner has a different idea of whatever. But the idea is that if you have a way you want that role to be done, bringing somebody in that is not aware of that. Like what is the expectation? The expectation is you're running around at events, pulling people back to the table, getting them to buy stuff. The expectation is that you're doing these things, and this is how that looks. So it's like you have to develop people into who you want them to become. And hiring somebody because of their experience will not do that, because there may not be alignment with their experience and how you expect them to operate. Maybe they came from a big venture funded company where they had 40 sales managers, and the managers, it was basically a sales operations person. Like you never know. And the clearer you are on, I mean, your job as a business owner is to create the successful action and then duplicate that. Create it, document it, and duplicate that in your team. And taking ownership of the fact that they have the experience I think I want them to have, but I'm going to need to develop them into who I want them to become in this role.
Got it.
And that goes across the entire organization. Like you hire people because of background, experience, attitude, you hire them for all those things, but then you ultimately, it's your business. Like you know what you want out of them. You can't expect them to bring that in. Rare occasions. Like I'm a rare occasion. You're a rare occasion. Like you went from customer to partner. Like I went from sales guy to partner. Like it's like that doesn't happen a lot. And so very few people will have that drive and ambition that somebody like us will when we come into an organization or an opportunity.
But what about like, do you think it's normal to see high turnover for management also, or is that more just salespeople?
Yeah, I mean, anytime there's high turnover and you can't explain it, I would always go back to, what am I doing wrong? Like, what am I doing to create this? And then I would go through and like one of the most important things I ever learned from Grant was this, like, he will accept responsibility for anything. He'll find a way. If she trips and falls, he's going to find a way to make that his fault. And it's kind of a psychotic trick that you can play. Like, hey, I got in a car accident. Well, I should have left 3 minutes earlier. Or you know what I mean? Like it just to kind of like an embellished degree, but really it is. It's like, dude, how are you creating this? What are you doing? What are you not doing that's creating this? And so I would always use those as, okay, what are we not doing? What are we not providing? What are we not clarifying in the interview process? Do they have the tools and equipment that they need to be successful here? Are we clearly defining the expectations for them that we have in the role that they're going to be in? Are we showing them what that looks like? And so it's like, those are the things I would be looking at, rather than, oh man, there's no such thing as great. I can't find a good sales manager. It's always going to fall back on you as the leader.
100%. Yeah. I was listening to 10X. I listen to it like every year. And I was listening to it in January. And then, I remember, take control over everything.
Assume responsibility, accept responsibility for all results.
Don't be a little bitch. But, interesting. So, okay. So that's the sales department.
It's constant work, dude. Like the entire way growing from where we were to where we're at today. It's always work, and it's always hard. Like, because you're continuing to get new problems. And the problems are just changing. Hopefully you're not having the same old problems over and over and over again. Hopefully you're getting newer problems that are still going to be hard and a pain in the ass to deal with and frustrating. But like you never really get past that. And then you're going to be like, dude, I finally got a guy. He's doing everything right. And then somebody's going to pay him $50,000 a year more, and he's going to go work for somebody else. And then you're going to have to start over again. But that's why you just want to develop like successful processes for these things, where you're like, now I've just got a system. Now, okay, I've got to start over, but now I've got a system for it. I know what I'm looking for. I know how to communicate it. I know what to communicate to them in terms of expectations of what we need and want out of them. Very clear about it. It's better to scare somebody off than it is to hire somebody who doesn't have clarity on those things. And then you get them in and you waste 3 months, 4 months, 5 months trying to make something work that should have never started in the first place.
What about like, so that was the sales department. But I also want to talk about scaling. So when you're looking at businesses that do about 10 million a year, what do they need to do to get to 100 million a year?
I mean, so it's really just multiplication. and math on the offers. So it's like, and the answer is not always just spend more.
Yeah.
Because as you spend more, it almost always performs worse.
Yeah.
There is a limit to that where you're like, okay, we've reached our maximum level of efficiency here. If we go over this, then we start degrading profitability. So, we're at $1 in, $3 out at $20K a day in spend, and we go to $50K a day in spend, we go $1 in, $2 out.
Yeah.
And so it's like now you're cannibalizing the profit.
Yeah.
And so then it's just new products, new front ends, new offers, new back ends.
Yeah.
So you're just constantly, it's a puzzle piece of offers.
You know what's funny? Not to cut you off, but I feel like culturally, or what entrepreneurs are hearing a lot right now, is do not create new offers. I don't know if you're seeing that also, but like what's popular right now is do one thing, get so good at it that, your customers are creating customers, and don't like try all these new things, where you guys do the opposite.
Yeah. I mean, I can't agree with that because it's not what we do.
Yeah.
All I know is what we do.
Yeah.
And so, finding out what's the next thing that we can add. Obviously we're trying to maximize everything that we do.
Yeah.
So we may be creating new front ends, but they all push to the same back end offer.
Got it.
Like it's just a different doorway into the same house.
Yeah.
And so we're not going and creating a bunch of new core products. We're going through and we're creating new front ends to get people into those products.
Yeah.
That look different, that feel different, that hit a different pain point. The perceived outcome could be different.
Yeah.
A product created to bring a specific customer in.
Yeah.
But we focus on, I drew this out for our biz dev team when we were building this team, because this team was really kind of like, it was created to go out and get the business that we need, that we want, that we know is a good fit, but they're not going to call us. And so I basically drew this pyramid, and I was like, at the very top, the smallest percentage of your deals, you're going to have big deals, like, $1 million deal for this, or, Ashley Furniture type deal, or, some of these bigger deals that we get. Said on the bottom of the pyramid, you're going to have the majority of your business going to come from individual deals. So a high volume of small deals.
Yeah.
So there's this midsection right here that we're missing. And those are people that you can close that represent a lot of deals. So I'm like a JV collaboration with a vendor, or an association, or something like that, where you go in, you establish a relationship, you ink a JV deal together, and then they give you access at scale to your ideal customer.
Got it.
And so it's like focusing on how are you going to hit all of those points?
Yeah.
And then focusing on, what's your acquisition plan, what's your ascension plan, what's your retention plan?
Yeah.
And then building that out. For us, it's we've got, 9 different front doors that lead to, 3 back end products that lead to, 1 back end, which was Cardone Ventures.
Yeah.
And that really opened up an entire product suite. So our business basically is like a funnel that comes down to a choke point, and then it opens back up to another back end of products that go all the way up to $450,000, $1 million, partnership, ownership, buying companies. And so I don't believe that everybody will have the same model that we do, but you have to create offers that can scale. Like it has to be something that you can be less restrictive on your targeting on ads, and they solve bigger problems. Like people always say there's riches in the niches. Like you can make money there, but you're never going to build a $1 billion company.
Yeah.
Like the very few niche products. And I know that's a thing for people that market and sell things online. I'm going to specialize in this one thing.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. One offer.
This one thing in this one area and just be really good at it. This category king.
Yeah,
dude, if you're the category king of a tiny little game, then what's the outcome you're looking for is probably the best question. Like if you want to build $100 million company, you need to engineer it. You need to plan it out. What products are they? And then is the customer in the marketplace willing to pay for that?
Yeah.
At scale. How do you have no targeting on your ads and you can spend, $100,000 a day?
Okay, so let's say someone's listening to this and they want to go from 100,000 to a million or 10 million to 100 million. And they're thinking, okay, so their first thought normally is going to be they need to spend more on marketing. Normally, that's usually how they're like, okay, we need more leads and then we're going to get more salespeople and all that stuff, right? But if someone's trying to scale, do they knowingly forfeit net profit in order to reach the top line that they're looking for and then try to, become more profitable? Or are they trying to maintain, let's say, a 40% margin the entire time they're trying to scale the company?
Yeah, I mean, as you, and I learned this from Brandon Dawson, who runs Cardone Ventures. Scale in a business, like achieving scale in a business, is like getting to a maximum efficiency point. Mm-hmm. And then scaling is replicating that and duplicating that and growing, right, through people. And so, like our business is what I would consider extremely marketing heavy, but we're also creating the top of funnel for this ecosystem of businesses that rely on a brand.
Yeah.
If our business, if we didn't have all those other back end businesses, then we would probably, our spend would probably be 8 to 10% of our gross.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of businesses get into, particularly that market online, marketing becomes 30%, 40% of their, of their expense. And that represents something that's broken, that you're a marketing company, not a business.
Yeah.
And so then it's like, okay, well, like I believe that most people who are generating leads into their business completely mismanage them.
Yeah. 100%.
They are extremely wasteful. I know this because we are in our business.
Yeah.
Like I know that I generate 6,000 leads a day.
Oh my god.
Like the team can't.
I'm going to pull out my calculator. Sorry.
The team can't, like a salesperson should have 150 leads a week.
150 leads a week.
A week.
Okay.
I'm generating 6,000 a day. Like they can't even, it's
yeah.
Like we're trying to build a 300 or 400 person team and have, 500 people remote. And when we get to those levels, then we're like, okay, the math starts making sense.
Yeah.
But you can't even effectively work a lead at that volume. Like you're calling them maybe once.
Yeah.
Or what most businesses do, like I'm seeing such a disconnection, like in a lot of businesses that we work with from the customer, because they are relying so much on an email, or they're relying so much on an ad. They're trying to stay away from the customer. Like that is like, you need to be in the customer's face right now. Everybody is trying to do this digital transaction, this online sale, this like
self-checkout.
That if your business is operating today and you do not have a team that is blowing up your database with phone calls every day, you're probably operating at about 25% of what you could be if you added a sales team.
What about, so you said you're doing 6,000 leads a day. You're spending how much a day? You said 25 to 40 million? Or
I mean, it just depends on what we're producing. I mean, and you know how traffic is. If you find a vein that works, we'll go from a campaign will be running 30 grand a day, and we'll find a vein and we'll go to 50 or 60.
Yeah.
Or we have, we're constantly doing events throughout the month. We can get as high as, 100 grand a day for spend.
And how big is your sales team?
Right now we have about 80 people.
80 people. Mm-hmm. Okay. That's not that big.
No.
I thought it was way bigger.
No, we need probably 4 times that, 5 times that.
Have you had that before, or is it, no? Is 80 like the biggest you guys have ever had?
Because we've, I'm just through, I can only ever talk about my own experience.
Yeah.
And so as we have built an incredibly profitable business and a big business, as you go through the iterations of optimizing that business.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at the amount of traffic that we have that is not being worked. Mm-hmm. The reason it's not being worked is because there's so much opportunity.
Yeah.
That the team, because we've created the environment for them.
Yeah.
To be able to just go up to the tree and shake the tree, and then like the
just
ripest
like
fruit
leads.
just falls off.
Yeah.
And then they're going for the guy that's a one call close, but they're not going to call the girl 9 times.
Yeah.
Even though she'll convert for 10 times more revenue.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's getting to that, the higher quality of the customer, usually the longer it takes to get to them.
Yeah.
And so I believe that we're missing. So it is a big pivot for us. Towards the end of last year, we started rebuilding the team, the comp plans, like all of this stuff to try to go after and start attacking this problem.
Yeah.
And if we can, I believe it'll be a 30 or 40% swing in our revenue. And then we could probably do about the same increase in our net profit without spending any more money.
Do you mind me asking what your guys' like net profit?
Yeah, so we did 148 million in revenue last year, and we did 42 million in net profit.
Okay.
And that's with probably 18 million in ad spend that I wouldn't spend. I mean, we liquidate it, so it's not like it's like I got a funnel spending 30 grand a day, making 30 grand a day. I'm generating a ton of leads.
Yeah.
Those numbers kind of inflate.
Yeah.
Your expense because there's no real profit that comes out of it. So I believe we could probably I budgeted this year to be at $1.5 million a month, so 18 million in budget. And we spent 26 or something like that last year. So that'll save us 10 million.
So you aim to be about 30 to 35% net margin?
Yeah, I want to try to get to my goal is to get over 40 again.
Yeah.
But in that scaling process, when you're hiring teams and you're expanding and you're growing, like your profit goes down.
Yeah. So have you had years where you were below that? Or have you always been like, we are not going below?
As we've been growing the team over the last, 5 years ago, we had probably 115 employees.
Yeah.
So like our margin back then, like through COVID, we've been at 42% margin.
Yeah.
But we're also not afraid to spend money to grow either.
Yeah.
Like we're making plenty of money. So it's just like, okay, well, this next acquisition, like what's the next thing? How are we going to deploy the resources that we have to get us the next level? Like I believe that there's probably a double in our education business from where we're at right now. But, to get to $1 billion in education revenue, the thing has to change. Like it probably the model needs to shift. We need to start acquiring companies. So it'll, when we get to that point, but again, like we haven't optimized the business yet.
Yeah.
That's where I think the double comes from. It comes through optimization.
Yeah.
Having the right staffing, having the right team, maximizing and being efficient with the ad spend that we have. There's a difference between scale and scaling, like I said.
Yeah.
So at this new level that we're at, we need to get to scale.
Yeah.
And then the scaling involves the strategy to go from, 300 million to $1 billion. And then that's going to be through, and we've looked at, some pretty significant education acquisitions. But the think needs to change. Like you constantly have to be in any business. Like you constantly have to be willing to completely rethink what you're doing.
Yeah.
Like, you can get to 10 million, but you can get stuck there too.
Yeah.
If you think that what got you to 10 is going to get you to 30.
Yeah.
And so you always have to be willing to go, okay, do I need to chew my own arm off right now?
Yeah.
And, and kill this product that's working so that we can do this next bigger thing.
Interesting. What about I feel like
I'll just say one thing. Sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah.
The other thing is just to look around and find out, is anybody else doing what I would like to do? So
but everyone lies.
If your business
that's the problem. Everyone lies.
Well, yeah, but that, that is what it is.
We get gurus in here every single month. And my new thing is I want to see your Stripe or I want to see your Easy Pay, because everyone comes in here and they're like, we do this, we do that. And the last guy that came in here, he was like, I don't know what he said. I forgot. He said like 25 million. I was like, oh, okay. Can I see your Stripe, please?
Yeah.
Like, do you mind? Wasn't even close.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, well, that was contract value. And then that was me projecting, like, if we continue this. I'm like, dude, you guys all lie. Like, I always say what we net. I don't care what the freaking contract value is.
Well, I mean,
or
that's just
blah,
the
blah,
world
blah.
we live in,
Yeah.
So
how do you know, like how do you, when you're looking at somebody like at a business and you're like, okay, should I replicate or do what they're doing? Like, how do you know if you trust what they're actually saying? Well, fuck. Yeah. The more I learn, the more I learn that they're lying.
Like for me to go, like if I said, hey, we're doing 150 million in revenue.
Yeah.
Like, what are you going to start looking at? You're going to start looking at, okay, well, where's your office?
Yeah.
How many employees do you have there?
Yeah.
Like if somebody says they're doing 30 million bucks a year and they've got 8 employees, they're fucking lying.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
like like there is a, I don't know, like you just know, like, you know, when you start asking people questions about their numbers and they don't know their numbers, you're like, okay, well, dude, like if you're making that kind of money, these are numbers that you look at every day.
Yeah. What numbers do you look at every day?
Lead cost, lead volume, time to contact the lead. So like, what's the speed to lead with the sales team? Yeah. So if we generate a buyer, you know, at 2 o'clock, how long does it take for them to get a call? Cash collected, contract value, number of customers.
Yeah.
You know,
number of like how many?
Yeah, like
total
how many transactions? How many unique customer transactions did we have?
Got it. A day.
Yeah. And so
what are some of these numbers, like lead costs? Like I think we were at like $20 a lead on some funnels, and we think that's great.
Yeah.
Like, is that great or no?
I have some at like 4.
We've had also like if we have like a like lead magnets and we're like giving out stuff.
So then the thing is like obviously like a lead into an evergreen webinar.
Yeah.
Like if you're optimizing your ads to get the right person there, it will naturally get more expensive to find a more qualified person. Like your lead cost is, and then when we have some campaigns that were as high as 36, but I go through and I'm doing the math and evaluating, okay, $36 lead cost, $2,200 acquisition cost to get a transaction. Yeah. And then over what period of time does it take me to recoup that money? Like if I have a $2,200 acquisition cost on a contract that's, you know, I'm charging $1,000 a month for, between, ad cost, between commissions, overhead, like I'm like, shit, dude, I'm 7 months in the negative on that until I get my money back. Well, the contracts perform and, you know, so we end up, that is a calculation, but then that also led to, this is insane. There's a better way to get this lead. Yeah. So what we do is we create a new front door. And I created a couple new things. Now we have $4 lead cost, $6 lead cost. Our best performing one in that category right now is about $14. Yeah. But we spent $70,000 last month on that campaign and generated almost $500,000 in revenue.
Interesting. How are you guys, like, okay, we talked about sales. Let's talk about marketing. So how do you guys track your KPIs?
Yeah, so
that's a tough question.
I feel like it's we haven't figured that out yet.
Has anyone figured it out?
Yeah, like it's so BigQuery, Google Data Studio,
you guys
Domo,
don't use Hyros?
You know, Hyros, but you know that just basically tells us just the real deal. Yeah, but the difference is like, how are you getting that data? But then more importantly for me, like I'm not going into Facebook Ads Manager and pulling up that data. I'm not going into Google and looking at the performance data. I'm not going into ClickFunnels or Go High Level or whatever and looking at page performance. Like I want that visualized for me someplace where I can go get it in one look. And so that's really what we've been working on. Number one is visualization of the data. And then number 2 is, you know, attribution. Yeah. And you know, and but for us, it's like, okay, well, you know, it's just such a gray area. Like you can get in the neighborhood of it, but then
you'll
you're
never
like,
know the exact.
You're like, okay, what was first touch? What was last touch? Yeah. You know, would the last touch have happened without the first touch? You know, how much was the first touch just the first thing that they saw, but it was really the offer of the last touch that got them to convert. Yeah. And then what are they doing on the back end? Yeah. And so bringing, you know, when I'm taking in and processing money on the back end, a different way that I'm taking it in and processing it on the front end, because it's not happening through Stripe or whatever, then it's like, how do you bring all that data together? So it's just it's a mess. Yeah. But
so is it better just dollars out, dollars in? Because we've done that too. And then we've done before where we break down each campaign, and then like I've done it before where I'll go through every single sale and I'm like in Hyros, I'm in HubSpot, I'm like, where did this person come from? And then I'm like, I don't even see this person.
I don't do that. I got there's a guy on my team who's really good at it. I got 2 guys that are really good at at data tracking.
Yeah.
And so when transactions are coming through, but our digital marketing managers who run campaigns, like they basically have ownership of the campaign from lead through sale. So their job is when leads are coming in, like the sales team has to log and report the lead source,
but they don't
appropriately.
Yeah.
Well, no, but they will
halfway?
because we'll take them off the lead rotation.
Oh, okay.
So
okay.
you don't want to do this. Like this is the key for you to get fed.
Yeah.
If you don't want to do this, then you can get fed the hard way and just make cold calls and not get any new leads.
Okay. So they have
to do that. And then like we have like, I mean, I'll just show you this right here. So like this is a chat, for example, lead source 12 days, lead source 10x MP, lead source GC games ads.
So you guys are doing this on your cell phones.
Well, this is just a group chat with the team. You know?
Okay.
Profit planner lead, VSL inbound lead, 10x MP buyer. So they're tracking through all the lead sources.
So you care about lead source.
Well, of course.
Well, like I feel like
I mean I want to know like when somebody converts, where did that lead come from? I'm less the story of where it initiated from is great.
Yeah.
But what was the thing that pushed them over the edge?
Okay.
Because there was a reason that they hadn't purchased until they saw whatever they saw.
Yeah.
And it could just be because they came in on that, and then like we have customers that hit on business front ends that buy real estate products on the back end.
Yeah.
Based on the call that they get on with the team.
Yeah.
So, you know,
so what do you want to see? You want to see lead source, cash collected, contract value.
Yep.
And what else?
Cost per lead, acquisition cost. Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. But I'm just saying like
lead,
per sale.
Yeah. So for me on these sales, I'm looking at lead source.
Okay.
So this is what I was just going through. That's my tap into the sales team. And so that is giving me the data that I need. This is really for me.
Yeah.
So that I know I'm seeing things registering. And so when I see that, you know, the 90-day onboarding front end continues to generate, you know, $50,000, $60,000, $70,000, $90,000 contracts.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, let me dig into this one a little bit more. Like what's lead cost right now? You know, what's collected revenue on the front end of that?
Yeah.
How else are we monetizing that lead? That front end is really for our contract business training product.
Yeah.
But then we also have like a sales path for somebody who's not qualified for that product off that call.
Got it.
But then that transaction is going to come through differently.
Yeah.
And so you know, you're looking at a lot of different data points and trying to determine with the most confidence that you can.
Yeah.
What's working the best and what needs help.
Yeah.
And so, you know, there's no science that we have for it. The main thing that I'm looking at every day for all of our campaigns, I have a little snapshot that we look at. It's all of the campaigns, what was ad spend, what was revenue, collected first touch revenue.
Yeah.
What was number of lead, what was lead cost? Yeah.
I just want to see like, that, like just that.
Yeah. Yeah. Let me see if I can pull it up here.
Cause I mean, it's just, man.
Yeah, no, dude, it's wild. But it's really for me as the executive, it's the visualization of it.
Yeah.
Like business is all just levers. Like it's just, you know, conversion's low. You know, if sales are low back here, you walk it all the way back to the front end and find out, you know, where it's broken. You know, you can fix an upsell on a page, or, you know, like as an example, we have optional text numbers on some of our lead forms.
Yeah.
And so we were getting about 40% of the people would give us their phone number, their cell phone number, and text consent. And so I ran a test because I was like, you know, we're generating all of this lead flow, but only 40% of them can actually be called. And I know the phone call is where the money is.
Yeah.
And so what I did is I said, okay, guys, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take these lead forms and we're going to make text mandatory. So our lead cost ended up going up by like 30%.
Yeah.
But I got double the phone numbers on the back. So my cost per phone number actually decreased.
Okay.
And that's the most important thing for me to have, as a way to get a hold of the customer.
Yeah.
So, but then we ran into the problem of not having enough salespeople to cover all the calls. So we just turned it back to optional until the team could be, you know, our biggest problem is just enough people. So it's like,
that's our problem too.
We're hiring, we're doing the remote thing now. Like we hired our first class of that. I've got probably 3,000 people still to be interviewed.
Damn.
50% of them have made more than 150 grand in a year.
Yeah. So that's how you guys determine.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of like the first filter is how much money have you made?
Yeah.
Because our guys can make 200 to 500K.
Yeah.
You know, and that's if they're good. A superstar can make more than that. Mm-hmm. But like, you know, 180K, 200K.
Yeah.
Like if you just get in and follow the system, you know, that's where we can get you.
So what does your marketing department look like? Like who are the roles?
Digital marketing managers kind of oversee project management of campaigns, media buyers, you know, data integrations, automations, design, video.
Yeah.
And we basically pod the digital marketing managers over campaigns. So they're project managing that, and then they tap into the resource that they need. So like we'll have like the video team. We don't have dedicated video people to digital marketing managers, but that's the team that they pull from.
Yeah. But there's not a copywriter? Is there a copywriter?
Oh yeah. I've got three copywriters.
And then do you have a different copywriter that does email versus like ads?
Yeah.
And does Grant come up with ads himself, or how does it work? Like how often are you guys doing ads?
So I have a video guy and a designer just for traffic.
Yeah.
So all they do is come up with creatives. Mm-hmm. So full time, they don't do anything else. They don't focus on any other video stuff that we do. That's all they do. And so they work with the copy team. Copy team gets ad copy to them.
Yeah.
You know, if we need a specific video from Grant, you know, copy for Grant is hard because he
doesn't listen.
Communicates in a certain way, and then ultimately, he starts getting into a script and he wants to do it his own way. But in most cases, I'm the only one that can get a script close enough to how he actually talks to where I know he'll get through it. You know, to 75% of what we need. Yeah. But yeah, so it's just a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
It is a lot. But I guess like last thing I want to touch on, I guess, is just like mindset and like culture. So your sales team calls me all the time because I opt into your stuff. Yeah. And I always tell them like, you guys are good. Like I compliment you because you guys like, they're like, dude, I'm crazy. Let's just jump on a live right now or whatever. Yeah. So like, how do you set that tone? And like, do you guys have core values? Like
starts with leadership and just like making the decision of how the team will run and operate. Mm-hmm. And that means that leadership has to demonstrate the characteristics of what's expected. Yeah. So, like all in all the time, role play drill every day. Yeah. High bar. If you can't fall in line with these things. And we've got a whole mapped out process for running the team. Mm-hmm. But the biggest thing is you have to create opportunity. You have to show other people that are winning. Mm-hmm. I mean, nobody wants to, if you want a great salesperson to be motivated to work 12 hours or whatever, mm-hmm. like they need to see somebody who's making 800 grand a year. Okay. Like they need to see somebody that they can achieve the achievement path for them. They need to, so like I always tell small businesses that I'm like, your most important thing that you need to do is you need to get one salesperson that you pour into, that you can create success with, and that you can use them as the example when you recruit.
Got it.
And, like every one of our guys will pull out a W-2. I think 35% of the team makes over 280 grand a year.
Damn.
It's a big number.
Yeah.
So, I can show, we have receipts.
Yeah.
We can show that.
Yeah.
And they'll show W-2s or, paychecks or whatever. Mm-hmm. And so as a business owner, when you create an environment where that's possible, then if you communicate that and you promote that in your recruiting efforts, mm-hmm. then you'll attract people that are looking for that. Yeah. And they will be willing to go above and beyond what the average person will do mm-hmm. because of what they're going after. Mm-hmm. So we always market and promote the top performers, top achievers. And then when people come in that are competitive, that want to win, they go out and they look who's the top guy. Yeah. I mean, I used to do that all the time. Every sales job I ever had, I'm like, who's the guy? Yeah. Or the gal. Who's that guy? Yeah. Who is the top person And I worked for Auto Trader for 3 years, and I was number 2 in the country. I couldn't crack number 1, but I had like a little small. I had San Diego. I had a little territory in San Diego, East County. San Diego was broken up into eight territories, and I had 1 territory in San Diego. She had 3 states.
Damn.
So, but I couldn't beat her.
What's her name? Do you know?
I forget. But
yeah, that's interesting. I guess any last advice or anything that you're seeing, because you're a few steps ahead of where we're currently at. So like seeing Ryan, seeing what we're doing, any advice before we wrap up?
Yeah, dude, like, you have to, you just have to keep swinging. And you guys are in a way more advantageous position than most small businesses are. Mm-hmm. And by the way, definition of small business is like under $200 million a year, which is wild.
Wow.
I'm in an advantaged position because we have Grant.
Yeah.
We have this. Most businesses don't have that. They don't have the audience you guys have. They don't have the reach you have. They don't have the brand you have. Like, they don't have that. They're trying to do it another way. And so the most important thing you can do is just keep focused on the target. Don't make excuses why it can't happen. Constantly be looking for ways it can happen. Look for examples of people that are doing it and model and mimic and master what they're doing, to quote Brandon Dawson. And then make sure that you have the right why. Like, why are you trying to get to there? Like, what is the outcome that you're looking for? Because it does get tough. And you're going to do things that flop, or you're going to run into issues, situations. We've had them, Ryan's had them, where all of a sudden you're like, oh man, dude, this is going to be bad. Like, we got to shut this thing down, or we got to do this over there, or whatever. Like, what's the blowback of that going to be? Is just to not get overwhelmed by that and just keep trying new things, and just know that most of the things that we do don't work.
But what is your guys' why? Like, why? Like, what does that mean?
Oh, the purpose is definitely to empower people. And I mean, like, we have a foundation. We touch tens of thousands of at-risk, underserved youth through education programs. Like, that is in our DNA, is to help. And so, we share success stories in our morning meetings. We promote our successes more to our staff than we do to the public. Because we want the team to see people. Like, when you have people that are coming in and they're crying because they're like, we were going to get divorced, we were going to file bankruptcy, the business was going to go under, and you guys taught us how to turn it around. And it saved our business, and it saved our marriage, and it saved all of these things. And now we're going to have a life completely different than we ever thought possible because we never had the right information. The intrinsic value of that will last light years beyond a paycheck. And so you have to be in it for that. That's the thing that will, through the hard times, will continue to drive you up. And I used to always tell myself, when it was hard in the beginning, when I was selling, I'm like, dude, there's a salesperson that works in this business that is struggling right now, that needs what we have to offer. And I'm going to push for him. So I'm going to deal with the asshole business owner. I'm going to get hung up on. You get cussed out. Like, I'm going to do all that because there are people there that need this. Because I know I needed it. Like, when I first saw this, I really started digging into Grant stuff. I'm like, I was 26 years old. I'm like, dude, if I would have had this 10 years ago, I'd be in a way different spot right now. And so you have to be tapped into that for sure. 100%.
Got it. All right. Well, this was the Wealthy Investor Podcast. Thank you for coming on, baby. Appreciate it.
Of course.
All right, guys. Peace. How much cash flow do you make a month?
Anywhere from like $5,000 to $15,000 a month net.
So that's the reason I don't like to buy a bunch of units, is because they don't make money.